Tap family. One way of demonstrating and maintaining our connection to our ancestors is by pouring libation. Libation is considered an offering to the ancestors and to the creator. It's a cultural ritual practiced throughout the African diaspora. There are many different styles of pouring libation, and I pour libation in the African-American tradition. I love pouring libation because it reminds us that we have maintained our African connections despite the extreme efforts of many people to destroy our culture and tear us away from our African roots. Every time I hear that a brother on the corner has poured an offering to the brothers that ain't here or the brothers upstate, I know that we have maintained our connections. We just need to strengthen them. So I will be pouring libation with water because water is cool and water has no enemy. And as I pour and make a statement, you can respond by using the Yoruba word ashe. Many of you are familiar with this ritual, but just in case. And at some point, I will ask you to call upon your personal ancestors and your collective ancestors as we proceed through the libation. So just center yourself for a second. Take a nice deep breath. I call upon the creator and ancestors to join us today and protect us as we go through our program. Ashe.
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 We honor our ancestors and invoke their spirits and ask them to continue to guide us.
Ashe.
That we stand on their shoulders and we thank them for their sacrifices that made it possible for us to be here.
Ashe.
Pour libation to let them know that we have not forgotten them. And we maintain the circle of life by recognizing that we also need to acknowledge those not yet born and to let them know that we are strengthening ourselves to provide strong shoulders for them to stand on. So I call upon the spirit of William K. Lyle and of Vera Pastor, two past presidents of the Association of Black Psychologists New York chapter.
Ashe.
And now I'd like you to call out the names of your personal ancestors.
Gerald Mead.
Marguerite Williams.
Walter Kenneth Hines.
Wilfred DeFore.
Walter Parrish.
Garrett.
Roger Matthews.
Nicholas.
Sovereign
Neil Oscar Hines.
Brown Powell.
Celia Brown Hines.
Pasquale Christmas.
Eddie Nelson,
Mr. Webb.
Rosemary Rothschild,
Louis Webb.
Keynes,
Those known and those unknown.
and Viv,
Judy Rosemary.
Alicia
Deborah.
Child, and Fee, Oscar Child, Pete Rothschild, Walter Rothschild, Bobo Eglin.
Now I ask you to call upon your collective or community ancestors. One that I always call upon is Ida B. Wells Barnett.
Harriet Tubman.
Marcus Garvey.
Jonah Drew.
Baba Asa Hilliard.
Yeah.
Toby
Campbell.
Amir Wright.
Jean-Jacques Dessalines.
And singer Carfield Warfield.
Bob Martin.
Marie-Claire Heureuse, Félicité Bonheur.
Jomo Kenyatta.
Ashe.
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 Ashe. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Asante Sana, to our past president multiple times over, Dr. Lisa Whitten, and our ABCI family for being in the house. You look beautiful tonight. The Zoom is glowing. You know, I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and they said, "You're holding your Kwanzaa celebration today? It's too early for Kwanzaa." And surely enough, the conversation that I had with that person, I want to share as we open up today. It is never too early for Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is not about the 7 days between December 26th through January 1st, but it is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. It is a way of using principles that are the best of what we have to offer in terms of deep thought and what it means to be African. And those principles should be guiding us and should be uplifting our actions and our decisions on a daily basis. So while we are holding our Kwanzaa celebration 2 weeks, nearly 2 weeks before Kwanzaa, we encourage you to think about these 7 principles every moment and every day as we continue to build ourselves, our families, our community, and our nation. So having said that, as an organization, New York Association of Black Psychologists, we look for opportunities every year to integrate the Nguzo Saba, or the principles of Kwanzaa, into the work that we do as healers, as scholars, as members of the community who serve. And this year, we would be remiss if we did not find a way to integrate Kwanzaa into this ongoing global pandemic of COVID-19. And we know these are certainly still unprecedented times, and we hope that everyone is able to stay safe and healthy, and that your families are staying safe and healthy. And as we embark on this Kwanzaa season, we have an opportunity to use the Nguzo Saba as a resource. As a resource to navigate the pandemic, okay? And so we want to make sure that we do our part as an organization so that we can use the Nguzo Saba as part of our collective coping process, and we can sort of root ourselves in the values and principles as we figure out how to continue to survive and thrive in this pandemic. Many of you know that as the holiday season and as the winter weather gets colder, many individuals inside of our community, outside of our community, share the same fears. Fears about the COVID pandemic spreading, fears about the numbers increasing, and they certainly have. And we are all managing internal and external pressures to make choices, loads of choices related to the COVID vaccine. You know, do you vaccinate? Do you not vaccinate? Mask wearing, you know, who do you wear your mask around? Who don't you wear your mask around? Who do you social distance from? Who is it safe to gather with? What are the many strategies that we can use to stay healthy? How do we integrate the use of Western medicine and naturopathic remedies and all of the things that our ancestors have taught us about staying well and healthy? And so these decisions, these multitude of decisions have at times divided us. It has divided relationships. It has caused tension sometimes in our families, in our communities. And we want to take a moment this evening to really think about how we can use the spirit of Kwanzaa to focus on reconnecting with each other, renewing our strength as a community of people amid this global pandemic, and really being able to understand how to continue to build healthy family relationships and engage in collaborative problem solving around all of the COVID-related decisions that are upon us. We also want to understand what it means to promote a healthy lifestyle, regardless of where we stand on some of these dimensions related to these decisions that can be polarizing. So the forum is really designed to transcend the polarities that exist in COVID conversations. And we're really striving to find balance in what we think and what we do as a collective. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce, I'm really excited about our panel. We have 5 amazing scholars, practitioners, healers among us, and you all should have had an opportunity to read their bios if you saw our e-blast or if you connected with us on social media. But I would like to really just have each person do a quick go round to be able to just say who they are, what their background is in terms of their relation to this topic, and then we'll get started with our panel for today. Okay, let us begin with Dr. Catherine Jackson.
I first. I am Dr. Catherine Jackson. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and a board certified neurotherapist. And I work and practice in Chicago, Illinois. I know we're coming today for New York, but we have collective experiences as people of color and Black people. And I am honored to be here today.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Okay, we will move to Ms. Margaret Walker. Okay, you're on mute, Ms. Walker.
Just happened. I don't know what happened. Okay.
We can hear you.
What did you hear? You can hear me now. Yes.
Yes.
I'm a registered dietitian, but I also pursued naturopathic with Dr. Ignatius Foster, who's a naturopathic doctor. I also now run a catering business, which caters to individuals' taste for people with therapeutic problems. I specify and I design diets for their likes and for their illnesses or whatever it is that the challenge that they're facing. So I'm so delighted again to be here to address you guys today. It's a real pleasure. And I'd like to thank Dr. Denise for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Okay, we'll move forward with Ms. Diane Sky-Stroud. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Diane Sky-Stroud. I'm the former owner of a New York City holistic medical practice, currently the owner of Sky High Nutrition and Fitness, which can be found at skyhigh.co. I function as a nutritional and wellness educator, and I incorporate utilizing all parts of our being: mental health, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. I'm a vegan chef. My bachelor's is in alternative medicine. I've got over 25 years of practice, holistic studies with practitioners. I'm also the co-chairperson of the Brooklyn Cares Mentoring Movement in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here with us, Ms. Stroud.
My pleasure.
Okay, Dr. Farouk Iman.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Can everyone hear me?
And
Yes,
see
we can
you.
hear you.
And see you.
Yeah, okay, all right. Brooks is a Black African psychologist for the last over 40 years, past president of NYABPsi, past regional rep, and current editor of the Mashpiki Gazette, the Eastern Region newsletter. Also work as a certified holistic practitioner. I'm so happy to see the other holistic practitioners on the Zoom on this panel today. Certainly welcome their advice and their counsel and their wisdom from so many years of working as a holistic practitioner. I think that's about it. We can now move into the program, I think.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iman, and thank you again to all of our panelists. We are blessed to have you in our space, and we're also blessed to have this community. And it's also an opportunity, once we are complete with the panel, for our forum to begin. And just so everyone knows how the program will be structured, once we have a few questions that our panelists will respond to and sort of engage in and share their knowledge and expertise around, we'll have an opportunity for each of them to facilitate their own breakout room, which you can join, whichever one you choose, for a deeper dive into that discussion. We'll come back together as a family and talk about highlights from those breakout sessions. And then we will go into the second part of our program, which is the Kwanzaa ceremony and the candle lighting. And then we'll have a closing from our interim president, Marcus Doherty. And to support our process, because we are not going to be taking questions during the panel, I ask that you please drop any questions or comments into the chat and hold on to them, because we'll have an opportunity once we're inside of our breakout sessions to be able to talk more and have. So I'd like to begin with a question that centers us as we embark on this 2021 Kwanzaa season. And the question is really related to what does Kwanzaa mean within this season of COVID? I'd like to direct that question first to Ms. Diane Sky Stroud. If you can share from your perspective, what does Kwanzaa mean within this season of COVID?
What does Kwanzaa mean in this season of COVID? I suggest it means an opportunity for what you say. An opportunity to put some actual legs under each of the principles of the Nguzo Saba, now more than ever. An opportunity to challenge ourselves to grow. We know that there's no growth without challenge, and COVID has indeed challenged every part of who we are. So I know I'd like to focus on the principle of unity inside of COVID, because that's kind of like the unifying principle. And that principle of unity is felt universally by all people as the inner drive to congregate, to come together, whether it's for our collective security, whether it's for our collective companionship, enjoyment, or to achieve our individual or collective goals. We are social beings, whether we're introverts or extroverts. But we know that there are many differences that we have as individuals that can make coming together very complex and monumental at times. And as I said, COVID has really brought this to the forefront as a challenge, particularly when we're being instructed to mask up, to remain socially distanced, to quarantine, the actual opposite of our inner drive to connect. So when we look at that first principle of Kwanzaa, there must be a way to unify. And given the social demands being imposed on us, I suggest we do like our brother Michael Jackson suggested, and we take a look at the man or woman in the mirror. It's an ideal opportunity and time to make some inner adjustments so that when we do show up in our collective spaces, we are not the source of discord and dissonance. One of the ways we can do this is by addressing the different parts of who we are. The mental, the emotional, the spiritual parts of our being are all contained within these beautiful bodies of ours, affecting them, each other, in countless ways. And in the interest of time, because each of these areas can be widely expanded on, I'll just give one example of each area of the spirit that we can get rid of or tweak or adjust. Physically, I'd like to suggest, in the interest of creating internal unity and exemplifying peace outwardly, that we get rid of something like aspartame in our diets, an artificial sweetener, also known as equal and NutraSweet, but it's also a neurotoxin. We see the impact of these neurotoxins on our children when they're diagnosed with ADD and ADHD, and they're fidgeting and they're rolling and they can't sit still. because their brains are on fire, because the impact of a neurotoxin like aspartame is that it speeds up the brain cells, and then they die suddenly. We experience that when we have these mints or diet sodas and we show up at a meeting, and inside we are agitated, we're anxious, we're impatient, things fly out of our mouths that we shouldn't say. So aspartame, let's see if we can move that off the table. Mentally and emotionally, let's get rid of the false belief that someone else is responsible for how our emotional state is. Someone may show up unpleasant. It doesn't mean that we have to be unpleasant because they show up that way. And I'm going to be suggesting some techniques for how to adjust to that in the breakout session. And lastly, spiritually, let's make some time to meditate. Not only just for relaxation, but some of the health benefits associated with meditation are improvement of the function of the nervous system, the brain, lowering blood pressure, improving the immune system function. So these are just a few suggestions to help maintain our inner equilibrium so that we can resonate in a unifying way and be a unifying presence when we're with others.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stroud, for being able to enlighten us from your perspective around the ways in which the 7 principles of Kwanzaa connect, but even more importantly, unity and how we could ensure that we're doing what we can to optimize our health in terms of our diet. I'd like to also pose this question to Dr. Denise Hines-Zami. How would you respond as you think about what is the meaning of Kwanzaa in this, what is the meaning, of the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa in this COVID season?
Thank you, Dr. Codrington. I'd like to first introduce myself as Dr. Denise Hines-Zami. I have been a member of the National Association for Black Psychologists for nearly 50 years. I'm a lifetime member, and I've been a past president of this chapter, New York Association of Black Psychologists, on 2 occasions. My background is psychologist, psychotherapist, social worker, and our questions that we're asking today are pertinent questions for our lifestyles and our life existence on this planet today. So I'd like to address them now. And I'm going to make my responses brief because I know that we're trying to save time. So Kwanzaa and our need for its 7 principles of Umoja, Kujishakalia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Kumba, and Imani keeps its meaning remaining the same. It is COVID that is changing with its variants, and it's changing our lives and our cultures, the way we do the things we do. Plagues have existed throughout history. COVID strives to wear us down. We can't let that happen. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa need to remain as they are, helping us to remain strong and purposeful. The 7 principles and their connections to our topic are as follows. Umoja, unity. The whole world is united in trying to keep from falling prey to COVID-19. We, as Black people, need to be united with each other, no matter what our individual decisions about our own bodies are at this time. Supporting, loving, and not putting our brothers and sisters down is what we need to be about at this time when things are still foggy. COVID-19 is pushing us apart. Let's pull together in unity. Umoja. Kujichagulia, self-determination. We can determine for ourselves whether to be vaccinated or not, whether to make and take incentives or respond to threats because of our choices. With education and good information, we should determine for ourselves. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. We should all work together during this pandemic to responsibly social distance, wear masks, wash hands, build up our immune systems, exercise, get sun and vitamin D. We should help each other to do so, to be our best selves. Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Many in Black communities have lost jobs to find it difficult, I'd say, to work from their homes. Some people can do that and some can't. Let's cooperate. Let's buy Black when possible. Let's barter, let's share, let's give, and let's accept. NYA, purpose. Our purpose as Africans in the diaspora and as Africans has been to transcend adversity, to thrive and to transform. More than ever, we should be about that now and show the world how it's done. We can. NYA, purpose. Our purpose as Africans should be thinking about creativity as well. Kumba. We are great improvisationalists. Black people can make something out of nothing. We've had to do so. Whatever we create during these times should reflect our will to survive and to be resilient, to stay healthy, and to keep each other in our hearts and in our minds with love. And Imani, the last principle, here we shine with faith. Our faith in God has kept us going. We have lost faith in many in power. Now we must have faith in God, in our purpose, and in ourselves as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Denise Hines-Sami. You have really given us a charge and really helped us to be able to wrap our head around what it means to lift up the Nguzo Saba as we move forward in making the tough decisions around COVID, but also staying centered around who we are and what we're here to accomplish and what we're capable of doing. So thank you for that. And we'll hear more about the connection from you later on in the program. So, you know, as we talked earlier, this is really about ensuring that we continue to engage in community building and we can sort of bridge the gap between the COVID divide. So we want to switch now to thinking about how do we use some of the expertise that we have on our panel to inform our decisions around how we resolve conflict. Many of you have probably been in situations yourself where either with family members or with colleagues or people in your community, people that you work with, where you've had very different opinions that you'll take to the grave, you know, about where we are with COVID. And we want to be able to build ourselves so that we can find common ground. So I'd like to direct this question to Dr. Catherine Jackson. How do we find common ground when there are differences of opinion? And how can you share some words of wisdom or some insights in how these conversations related to COVID can be navigated?
First, I feel like we have to stay calm. One of the things, you know, when we're talking about trying to focus on that first principle of unity is to remain nice and calm, and you want to keep your boundaries around what your stance is while also respecting the boundaries of other people. And so what that might look like is that when somebody else might have stricter boundaries around the whole talk or the whole behaviors around COVID-19 and this seemingly never-ending pandemic. Remember when he said it was going to be 2 weeks? We're 2 years into it now. And so one of the things that we can do is that while you're still trying to focus on yourself here and trying to respect everybody else so that we stay unified, is to remain calm by practicing some mindfulness techniques, some relaxation techniques, or some grounding techniques when you know that you're going to come in contact or have to have a conversation with family members around this topic. And so that's something that I'm going to be focusing on in the breakout. We're going to be working on mindfulness and relaxing before we have to have some of these tough conversations around COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. And we want to really encourage people to think about how some of these techniques can be utilized. We are going to offer some resources from Dr. Jackson later on, and we also have some resources from some of the other panelists. We want to continue in this thinking related to managing personal decisions. But also we are a communal people. And as much as we have a need to maintain our own personal free will and make decisions that make sense in our hearts and our minds and our spirits, we also have a larger accountability to our community. And that is by nature who we are as a people, right? And we want to think about this dialectic, this challenge at times of how to balance respecting our personal decisions with the accountability to the larger family and the community. So I'd like to ask if Ms. Margaret Walker can share some insights on this. How can we strike a healthy balance between sort of having our own personal decisions and free will as it relates to these COVID decisions, but also recognizing that, you know, that Ubuntu principle, I am because we are, and we do have a larger accountability to the family and the community.
In my family, this keeps happening. I don't know why. You know, in this time, it is so easy to become imbalanced. COVID has really changed the way we think and the way we live our lives and the way we perform our day-to-day activities. And the question here is, how do we use this to our advantage? How do we achieve balance, harmony, or stability in our lives? And one of the first things we should remember, we are all affected directly or indirectly by what is going on around us, because no man is an island. So the key here is to be true to yourself, to your principles, your values, your ideals, while at the same time recognizing that the others around you, your family, your friends, co-workers, your loved ones, they are all blessed with innate intelligence. And innate intelligence is that intelligence that comes from the divine, from the creator, from within, and that guides and directs them to their life experiences. Now, in my family, I come from a family, Mayor David Dinkins, former Mayor David Dinkins, the late one, would say it's a family with a background of a gorgeous mosaic. I have members of all different race and cultures in my family. And when we get together, everybody has their own opinions. They're very opinionated. They're all educated and some aren't, but we get along because of one key factor. We love and respect each other. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is from that just passed last year, how to do that. Because here it was, he was a very prominent chef, an entrepreneur with a very thriving business, when in the middle of his career, he got struck by a stone and got brain damage by some unsuspecting person that wanted to hurt him. And because of that damage, he completely lost all his memory. And he went from being a person that was very extroverted and very vainglorious and very out there. He was demanding and, you know, very successful though. And he went from that person, and after he was healed, he had to learn everything from scratch, ABCs, 1, 2, 3, how to cook for himself. And after that, he became the person, not that he was, but the person that he really wanted to be. And, you know, I learned one lesson I learned is that, because he lived in a building that had about 90 families, and he was so humble and so loving and so caring that every single person in that building knew who he was. He stopped to talk to everybody. He respected everybody, despite who they were, despite religion, how they looked, children, everybody save none, loved and respected him because he loved and respected them. So as individuals, and being a part of this human family, being brother to each other, brothers and sisters to each other, this is how we need to be. We need to lead with love. We need to teach with love. And you have to remember that love is very uplifting. It's a very uplifting force. Love is life itself. It is the opportunity that you are blessed with. Take advantage, you should take advantage of this opportunity that you have. It's also optimism. Be optimistic about life. Know that no COVID can get you down. We come from a set of ancestors that went for days, weeks, and months in slave ships, bounded in chains, puking on themselves, you know, defecating on themselves, and we survived this kind of life. So why can't we now survive something like COVID-19 or whatever it is that they may name it? We are strong, powerful people, and we need to maintain that and know that with the help of our family or friends or ancestors or divinity, God within us, then we can turn around and respect our differences. Happy for the similarities, but we should respect our differences, which comes out of the God within yourself, that divineness within you. And then we'll be victorious everlastingly with enthusiasm and love for each other, love for mankind, and love for fellow human beings. And we'll discuss that later. We'll discuss more about how you stay well and stay healthy in the breakout room, because it is, even though we are, it's very simple, but we are very complex human beings. But there is a rule, there's the eternal, universal rule that guides us to good health. And if we just partake of that, if we just enhance that rule and make it a part of our daily lives, and some of it was touched on already, being calm, being meditative, mindfulness, all this will go to, and stop buying into fear. Not fearful, we should not be fearful. We should know that we're armed and we are protected, and we have everything we need at our hand. Look at this panel. Look at all we have here. There are more that are willing to help and willing to share and give. And by so doing, we enhance and we embrace the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa is not just this time of year, like was said, but it is a way of life. It is how we live our lives, respecting, sharing, and loving each other.
Asante, Ms. Walker, you have shared something that I think oftentimes goes unacknowledged, which is this idea that while we have these 7 principles of Kwanzaa, there is a foundational principle underneath it all, which is love. And what we're capable of doing when we lean into love and lead with love can oftentimes transcend some of the things that have created conflict and tension. And also recognizing that our resilience is our birthright. Ancestrally, we have been through the Ma'afa. We have been through the the worst that anyone could think of in terms of what it means to survive and thrive as a people underneath racism and oppression and, you know, colonialism and enslavement. And so really being able to connect with that spirit of resilience that we have as a people, as we are in the midst of managing some of the stressors. And, you know, also want to highlight that you speak to our divinity and the recognition that if we connect to the divine that exists in all of us, we can recognize that what may be feeling like it's insurmountable in terms of COVID is something that we can overcome, and we can create love and unity in some of our decision making when we connect with the divinity within us. So thank you for those pearls of wisdom. I want to also ask Dr. Jackson to share some thoughts on this question. How can we strike a healthy balance between the personal will and the accountability to the community?
So this one hits on two of the principles, right? The self-determination and that, and the one with the collective community. I'm not saying that one right. That's okay. Don't take my black card. But for striking the healthy balance between your own opinion, and especially when your opinion does not align with somebody else's opinion, when we're talking about things related to COVID-19, this ongoing pandemic, and I don't know when it's actually going to be over, when we're not going to be dealing with this anymore. But first, you want to check in with yourself. You want to ask yourself first some of the hard questions so that you know what it is that how you feel about everything that's going on with COVID-19. And then after you know that well, and you will hear other people's opinions about how they feel about it, how they feel about COVID in general, mask, no mask, you know, social distance, no distance, and on and on. Once you hear other people's opinion, you can still respect your own thoughts on it by honoring it in all the spaces that you can. And then when you go, if you really, like we got a loved one and we really want to go to their house, and I think most of us have probably been in this predicament before, but some people will not allow you in their house with the shoes on, right? So what do? Do you not go to their house at all? And so if you still want to connect with that loved one or with that person in your life, then if they say that they want you to wear your mask, or if they say that they're not allowing people in the house, then simply respect that. And if you want to be with them, then you're going to have to wear the mask. I know a lot of us still have to wear our mask if we go to the grocery store, if we go to the medical doctor. And so this is no different. And so just honor what someone else says. And even if you say, like, I'm already vaccinated, and it's not a vaccinated, unvaccinated kind of thing, but if you're already vaccinated and you have to still wear things out in other spaces, then respect your loved ones and give them that same courtesy. So that's what I see for how to respect the boundaries. And then in places where you can be mask free, then be mask free. And so we've been doing that our whole lives anyway. This is not anything different. It's just that we've made this conversation about COVID so big that it has become kind of a dividing thing amongst loved ones, amongst family members, amongst coworkers. But if I say that, let's just say, and I'm not saying if I am or if I'm not, but let's say I am vaccinated and I go to a coworker's office, but they want people to wear a mask in their office. Well, when I go to that coworker's office, then I will simply wear a mask. And when I get back to my office, I'll simply take my mask back off. And if they don't want me around at all, if I'm unvaccinated, then I'll try to stay out of their space and respect that. And then I'll go into the spaces where I can be And that's the best that we can do right now because everybody has their own personal views on this currently.
Yes.
So this is another manifestation of what it means to love, right? Dr. Jackson is talking about honoring those who are around us by being able to be in alignment with their comfort level and their wishes. And that is an act of love. Even if we choose otherwise for ourselves, in that moment, we can choose love and honor a person's wishes. So thank you so much, Dr. Jackson, for those sentiments. So we're gonna keep it moving here, and I see the chat is lively. Keep posting your thoughts and opinions as we keep the dialogue going. We wanna hear now from Dr. Farouk Iman. And this is an opportunity to really grapple with some of the cultural norms that we have as a people of African descent. We know that there are certain things that have plagued us historically when it comes to the ways in which we engage with the medical system. We know that there are many things that are taboo in terms of what we speak about out loud and what we talk about behind closed doors. And so sometimes we do have cultural issues that interact with the decisions that we make, that interact with how we are choosing different opportunities as it relates to health and wellness in the season of COVID. So Dr. Iman, how can we work to overcome some of the cultural norms that may be a disservice to us inside of this COVID season, particularly around the silence that may exist around some of the taboo topics?
Yeah, I wanted to echo and to add to what Sister Walker was saying about our stress levels during enslavement, Jim Crow, and other areas in African American history. And the question is asked, how did our enslaved ancestors communicate during times of stress? Our ancestors were either purchased or kidnapped from various societies, nations, and regions in Africa. Many did not speak the same language, but found ways to communicate in order to survive and make plans to escape bondage. They used drums, quilts, songs to communicate. They even developed a language called Tut. I'm not sure anybody has heard of the language called Tut. Tut was used in the 18th century to communicate covertly in front of slave masters. The words sound distinctively English, but require each letter of the English alphabet to have its own unique sound. For example, according to author Gloria McElwain, the letter I becomes AY, and the letter H becomes hash, H-A-S-H. She says it's how enslaved people in the South taught one another to read and write during the time of enslavement, when reading and writing was illegal. While there is mainstream media, social media, and other forms of electronic communication, COVID has really restricted some of our traditional forms of communicating with each other. We find it difficult to visit family and friends in hospital settings, nursing homes, and other care facilities. Also, there has been restrictions imposed upon us when we want to say goodbye to a family member or friend who has joined the ancestors. So how do we communicate with each other during COVID? Because remember, communication is an integral part of caring and sharing. While some restrictions are being eased in certain locations, we have to rely on, seem to have relied on electronic means to express ourselves. Telephone talking, texting, FaceTiming, Zooming, etc. Perhaps a return to letter writing. I got a letter from somebody just the other day, and it was not only strange but very inspiring because letter writing is almost a lost art.
Almost obsolete.
Absolutely, yes. So getting together face to face, proper precautions. Went to a homegoing ceremony not too long ago, and everybody was spaced out, 6 feet or even more. But we were able to honor our ancestor who had just passed by being there and saying words about his or her life that were uplifting for everyone there in attendance. Social gatherings outside. A lot of social gatherings are now happening outside because of COVID. And that way you can reduce the contact point. The point is to stay connected as much as possible. If we examine the principles of Kwanzaa, then we know that unity and connectedness is essential to who we are as a people. As Dr. Karenga teaches us, what does it mean to be African and human in the world? Communication is key to that principle. He also states that, if I can find it, in this most essential understanding and expression, Kwanzaa is a celebration of family, community, and culture, with each providing a context and commitment of common good, cooperative practice, and shared good. Kwanzaa is a celebration of the family which first forms us, names us, nurtures us, and sustains us, and teaches us upright and uplifting ways to understand and assert ourselves in the world. Kwanzaa is a celebration of the community which calls us into being as a people, serves as the source and center of our strivings and struggles together to live in good, meaningful lives, create, advance, and sustain culture, play the rightful role that our history, shared hope, and dedication to the good that demands of us. And Kwanzaa is a celebration of the culture that brought humanity and human civilization into being, formed the first disciplines of human knowledge, gave deep spiritual and ethical insight and grounding to us, to our ancestors and the world, and offers us valuable and timeless insights to engage the critical issues of our time. So we see that Kwanzaa is essential, and as Dr. Condrey says, it should be practiced all year round. All the principles should be practiced all year round. It's not just a 7-day event, it's all year, all life celebration. And it's a celebration of life and family, as Dr. Kringer teaches us. So we hope that in the breakouts, we get more questions about how we can sustain ourselves through the various means. Again, I'm so happy to be on a panel with these holistic practitioners. And I am myself a student of Dr. Africa and Dr. Paul Brown Bodis. Thank you very much, Asante Sana.
Asante Sana, Baba. We want to really echo what Dr. Iman has charged us with this evening, which is this question that we must interrogate. What does it mean to be African and human in the world? And what would it mean if we started with that interrogation as we moved through the difficult decisions of the pandemic? What would it mean if we grounded ourselves in that thinking? And how would we engage with our culture? How would we engage with the ways that we have adapted over time and use the best of what we have to continue to survive and thrive? So we should definitely be coming back to that question. What does it mean to be African and human in this pandemic? So we will keep it moving. Thank you for those insights, Dr. Farouk Iman. We want to talk now about resources. We will present some resources towards the end of the program, but we want to have some dialogue around it at this point. What are some of the resources that can be provided to support families and support communities in making informed decisions, in making balanced decisions? So I'd like to invite Sister Diane Sky Stroud back to the mic to share some perspectives on this.
Okay, thank you. Because there is so much information that is circulating so rapidly over these last 2 years around COVID, it can lend to the confusion. It lends to confusion, like where do we go for the right information? How do we make a decision? And I suggest that we have to become very, very scholarly in our pursuits of information. We can't afford to be relaxed about our pursuit for information. We can't rely upon simply media presenting a particular perspective. It is a perspective, and it's one that we should listen to. But in this day and age of information, there are so many sources that we can tap into to really help us gather the information that can give us an informed decision. And then once we do decide, once based on all the information that we've gathered, this is like a giant research project that's degree worthy. So once we're able to gather that information and come to a decision as to how we're going to move, then we have to really feel comfortable and not allow the continued back and forth information to cause us to second doubt ourselves and cause us paralysis. So a couple of resources that I wanted to suggest outside of mainstream media is the Children's Defense Fund. And this is specifically around just information regarding COVID. There's the Children's Defense Fund.org, and I can place these in the chat as well. There's COVID-19 Critical Care.com. And then there's Dr. Mercola.com, as just 3 places that one can go to for additional information.
Thank you, Sister Diane. I want to really recognize this idea that, we have to arm ourselves and we want to pull from different areas. I did share the links in the chat that you mentioned. I'm also going to put a link for your website. So if people want to learn more about Sky High, they know where to find you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Sister Margaret, can you speak with us about resources? What are some of the things that we can arm ourselves with as a family, as a community, as we continue to navigate COVID?
Right, and it's so important, like Sky mentioned, that we kind of cut through all the confusion and all the different layers of information that's out there and zero into the truth and what is the right decision that we're going to be making based on the truth. And the truth is not always easy to come by. But one of the resources that I have used, which I find to be very objective, and that is Dr. Gary Null, which comes on WBAI 99.5 radio FM. He has a daily show 5 days a week where he discusses a range of different things. He's a doctor of nutrition. He's a research investigator, a scientist, a chef. He has videos out where he interviews people from all different backgrounds, but mainly scientists. He does not guess. He uses peer-reviewed journals, and the things that he or the people he interviews are scientists with background that just can't question because they have the hard facts. So that's one, and besides he has a host of books. He has about 70 books and over 100 different videos, which will discuss different things, a variety of things, from COVID-19 to health and nutrition, to reducing aging in the body varies, to Martin Luther King. All of that, you know, he goes into, because he is a research and investigative reporter as well. So I find that to be very, very informative. Also, Dr. Majid Ali, who has a practice in Manhattan, but he's a pathologist, he's a clinical ecologist, and he particularly goes into these diseases that we are so often have, like diabetes. He goes into insulin resistance, things like that. And he can be found on the web, Majid, M-A-J-I-D, Ali, and I would share that also with you, the website. And then there's the CDC website, where we can go and get information on COVID-19, the amount of how it's spreading, how it's acting in different communities. That I found to be very helpful as well. If you want to get information and facts and numbers, statistics. Then there's one other nutritionist, her name is Corinne Funari, and she also is a part of the WBAI 99.5 radio program, along with Dr. Kakai and a lot of others. And because it's a listener-sponsored station, you don't have commercials and you have objective opinions. You have people that are thinkers. You know, they're not lobbied or they're not bought, or Big Pharma is not a part of any of this. As a matter of fact, this station has been threatened with closures often because, you know, they're not funded by Big Pharma. They're regular people that donate, and sometimes they do have donation drives. But I find that to be quite helpful. So, and besides, you could be driving or doing your chores or going about your business, and you're able to tune in and listen to something that's substantial, educational, without a lot of the fluff, you know, and the fearfulness that they really want you to buy into.
Thank
So
you.
those are three.
Yes, thank you, Sister Margaret. People have been made aware of how they could reach you. Your information has been dropped in the chat, as well as some of the other resources that you offered. And, you know, we really want to highlight, this is what Kujichagulia, self-determination, is all about, is tapping into the deep well of resources that exist in our community, and not forgetting about the radio, not forgetting about that with all of the overwhelming amount of information that's coming from online and in cyberspace. We have some deep thinkers, we have some community-based resources that are gems inside of our local community, and radio and talk radio is a wonderful, wonderful way of plugging in, along with the CDC website. So we're bridging the gap, right? Yes. Okay, so thank you, right. Sister Margaret.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we want to move now to our final question before the breakout room. And this is really in relation, again, to this spirit of umoja, and building unity in our families, building unity in our community. We want to think about what are some of the deficits that we have seen in communication during the COVID pandemic, and how have those deficits interfered with our needs. We're going to bring back Dr. Denise Hines-Zami, who I have to publicly apologize to. I was so concerned about our time and making sure we got to everything. I moved forward prematurely before allowing Dr. Denise Hines-Zami to introduce herself. And she's an integral part of this program and of our association. So welcome back, Dr. Denise Hines-Zami. Talk to us about some of these deficits in communication and the needs that are not being met during the pandemic.
Thank you, Jamila. That was very kind of you. I appreciate that. And no worries. I'd like to talk about communication from the vantage point of something called touch starvation, also known as skin hunger. It's definitely on the rise. It's what happens when you don't get as much physical touch as you've been used to or crave, or you don't get touched at all. Before this century, touch starvation or deprivation occurred often with children in orphanages and the elderly in nursing homes who didn't get enough positive contact. These days, due to the coronavirus pandemic and due to our increasing usage of computers, smartphones, and social media, humans as a species are touching each other less. We're social distancing, wearing masks, giving elbow bumps instead of hugs, and touching skin on skin less. Remember, people used to say, I don't remember, I'm not that old. Give me some skin.
Yeah. Yes.
We're even examined now by medical persons wearing gloves as barriers to touching us. And we're attending more social and cultural functions online. I've been to parties where we danced in our own spaces while watching others dance to the same music in their own spaces online. I've been to family reunions where we had played games and had our separate environments. And I've also attended some funerals online since the pandemic. I guess you have too. So some dying patients have only been allowed to say goodbye to loved ones from a telephone or computer. Times are changing. I'm not saying that we should be unsafe by not wearing masks or by touching other people, but we should be aware of the deficits of touch deprivation. I'm going to curtail a lot of what I want to say about skin. You all know what skin is. We all have it, right? So let me go to something I'm thrilled by. When I started studying psychology in college, I was always fascinated by some of the research. And one of the things I remembered my professors telling me about was children. They had someone called it the first experiment in psychology. I found out later that's not true. The first one happened in Egypt, but I won't go there right now. But children in orphanages, they wanted to find out what would happen if they didn't touch them a lot, okay? And they fed them, they clothed them, they sheltered them, but they touched them as little as possible. They had to stop the experimentation because the children started not to thrive. All right. I also had another one that was fascinating to me about a pregnant rat wearing a rubber collar and being unable to lick her teats or lick herself during her pregnancy and to touch herself even, you know, and to, I guess, to smell the chemicals that were in her body new because of the pregnancy. And when she gave birth to her pups and they took off the rubber collar, she ate them. Oh. And the last one I want to talk about in terms of research related to touch and how important touch is the one that you've probably heard about, Harry Harlow and the rhesus monkeys experimentations, where baby monkeys went into different areas, a different room that had a metal simile of a mother, but not the real mother, and one that was cloth. Now the cloth one didn't have any food attached to it, and the one that was metal had food, had a bottle for the baby to have milk. The baby knew where the milk was, went to the milk, and afterwards ran to the one that was made out of terry cloth because it felt soft, it felt soothing. And that's what that baby craved. And most of the babies they've craved. So touch is very important. The effects of touch deprivation, what are they? When you don't get enough physical touch, you can become stressed, anxious, or depressed. A lot of those experimented on were. As a result or response to stress, your body makes a hormone called cortisol. This can cause your heart rate, blood pressure, muscle tension, and breathing rate to go up, with bad effects for your immune and digestive systems. These can lead to poor quality of sleep, a higher risk of infection as well. Other medical conditions, including diabetes, asthma, and blood pressure, may get worse. And long-term touch deprivation can even lead to PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. The stress hormone cortisol is something that we have to be wary of. And a lot of times to keep us from having that in our bodies, we do a lot of exercise, or they recommend regular exercise. You know, the runner's high that people get when they keep themselves fit. Well, that is an aid to getting rid of that problem. A hug elicits neurotransmitters like oxytocin, I know you've heard of, serotonin and dopamine. Even petting a pet or wrapping our arms around a tree, which many people have decided to do these days, can give you a powerful charge of good feeling, endorphins. Earlier this year, people in Iceland were invited to cuddle up on trees to offset COVID isolation. So even the most casual embrace can help to lower stress levels and boost our immune systems and help you get a better night's sleep. I'd like to get into keeping in touch more so than getting into all the other things I was going to talk about. That is how to get hugs and touches in a time when you're kind of forbidden to do that. So regular exercise and applying pressure can be considered a form of self-touch and self-body regulation, giving pressure to yourself. Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, capoeira, gymnastics, and other forms help this situation as well. You may not be touching someone, but your movement helps you. Interacting with pets is something that a lot of people like to do and is helpful to you and brings up different levels of endorphins. Cuddling up with a stuffed animal, 43% of American adults do this, males leading in this area. This is used in some trauma recovery programs, having a soothing effect with those suffering isolation, grief, loss, and chronic anxiety. Sleeping with a body pillow is one way to get that touch feeling. Enjoying a lengthy warm shower or soaking your feet in Epsom salt, olive oil, or lavender. Go swimming. Sometimes we can't do that. Take a bath. Doing these can stimulate our skin, offering needed relaxation, serenity, and calm. Snuggling up under a warm weighted blanket is also akin to a hug with similar benefits. Giving yourself a massage, applying shiatsu or reiki to oneself is helpful. I wonder how many of you have heard about ASMR. It was new to me when I started going into researching about touch deprivation. ASMR stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. When you listen to certain sounds such as whispering or brushing hair, these unique sounds stimulate the part of the brain associated with touch and connection. People who use ASMR report feeling calm in body and mind. ASMR is also a resourceful tool to help manage stress and for those who struggle with sleep. This is a resource if you're interested in learning more about it. You can find thousands of tapes, videotapes on YouTube regarding demonstrations of these sounds and how people are soothed by them. Another way of getting the touch that we are deprived of perhaps is visualizing touch. I started working this year in telehealth, and so I do counseling online. I remember the first time someone cried in front of me, I couldn't touch them. So I acted as if I was touching them and I hugged them. And that did seem to help them, they said. So there are a lot of other ways. Singing out loud and dancing, even by yourself, can promote feelings that a hug would give. A few minutes a day of mindful meditation can help regulate your emotions as well, as some have said. And I'd like to say this, replace self-medicating with drugs and alcohol with good self-care habits, some of which have been mentioned today. And if you find yourself withdrawing to the point of feeling isolated and lonely, no one's touching you, reach out to a family member you can trust, a psychologist, a mental health professional, a doctor, or a friend. Let them know. Put down that smartphone and be smart by interacting face-to-face more. Reach and read to a child or a person with a mental disability. Find a safe way to do it in person. Volunteer. Try to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch more so you can stimulate all your senses without having to touch someone else. Safely holding others and being held strengthens the body's defense systems as well as romantic partnerships, friendships, and our relationship with ourselves. But you choose who you'd like to do that with. During these times of challenge and burden, of chaotic uncertainty, isolation, and change, finding creative ways of touching and being touched can be our medicine. Thank you.
Asante, this has really been a pearl of wisdom. I just want to say that I learned so much, from this demonstration of kuumba, of creativity. I never thought about the many ways that we could experience and stimulate touch beyond the physical human to human. And so I'm sure that the rest of our family and community here has also benefited. So thank you, Dr. Denise Hines-Zami, for being able to expand our consciousness on ways that we can practice kuumba and be innovative and be creative and not just think about social distancing as a way of protecting us, but also think about how we can infuse connection through these very creative workarounds inside of social distancing. So thank you. So we will end our panel with Dr. Farouk Iman. We'd like to hear from you, your perspectives on this as well, just in terms of how can we think about some of these deficits in communication that have occurred in the pandemic, and what are some of the ways in which we've been affected, our needs have been affected since this time. Dr. Iman.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can add any more what Dr. Denise Hines-Zami said. And we have to be creative. And that's that's Kumba, I do believe. We have to be very creative on how we connect with each other. We must be creative in how we connect to each other in terms of how we can get together. She talked about touch by electronic means and by physical means and by self-touch and the diet is very, very important. So we have to be creative, and being creative doesn't mean all by ourselves. It means asking someone, as Dr. Denise Hines-Zami said, we have to be able to and be willing to connect with somebody who knows something about these things. And that's the main point. We could very very feel very isolated in these times, and certainly the society has promoted isolation. But we have to remember what it means to be African and human in the world, and connect with somebody. Dr. Ray Nobles told us we need to Zola up. We need to love up on each other to continue our Africanness and our humanity, so that we can stay connected with each other in terms of how we see each other and how we see the world. So I don't want to take any more time because I know we're running out of time. Thank you very much, Dr. Denise Hanzami, for those inspirational words.
Thank you, Baba Dr. Farouk Iman, for bringing us full circle in terms of who we are as an association of Black psychologists. Shout out to Mama Ethiopia Jackson, our immediate past president, who's been really carrying this notion of Baba Wade's Zola up on us, right? Being able to, once again, as you know, this keeps circling back, Sister Margaret talked about this, what it means to lead with love, right? That's what Zola up is really thinking about above everything else, starting with love. So we do not want to move forward in this Kwanzaa season without being able to protect ourselves, but we also want to be able to think about protection broadly, not just in terms of protecting our physical bodies, but also our spirits, our families, our communities, and the values that we have fought so hard to preserve as a people. So with that, I want to thank our panel for being able to bring some wisdom and insights on how to actually live out the principles of the Nguzo Saba. And we want to give our family here today an opportunity to speak a little bit with each of our panelists. In just a moment, you'll have an opportunity to join a breakout room for about a little under 10 minutes. Each of our esteemed panelists will have a breakout room, and we'll have an opportunity for you to field any questions, share any additional insights, and for the community who's here with us to engage in the dialogue. So you will not be assigned breakout rooms. You will see 5 options, and please join the breakout room of your choice. And we will see each other again in about 8 minutes.
Oh.
I saw you in the room, Harriet Pease. Good to see you. Good to see you. You're on mute.
I wanted to find out something about food and eating and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So,
Dr. Iman talks so much about food and mood. And so I hope he's not going to have any trouble joining his own breakout room. I think he's still getting himself over to us.
Okay.
So welcome, everyone. Just bear with us as we have a couple of people who are not yet in breakout rooms.
Okay.
Hello, Vincent. Good to see you. Welcome.
Hi. You're on mute. This was really good. Stan.
I'm really Baba Stan. Peace. And of course, you're on mute, but we see that smile.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's good. I did it too.
I'm just trying to touch you. That's all. You know.
That's what it is.
You know.
Love that. I love that piece.
Just trying to touch you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part because I really need to help students, and I need to be able to say that because they are just lonely. They are really lonely.
Yeah. I get it. Sure. So am I in a room or am I not? I thought I was.
You are in Dr. Farouk Iman's room, and you are with Vincent Henry, myself, Harriet, Richard, and we're looking to see how we can get Dr. Iman over to us. He may be having.
Okay, so he has to get into our room.
He has to.
Yeah, he has to check his own room.
Right.
Own room.
Okay, but while we wait, since we don't have much time,
you can take him there. I think you can take him there.
See, I'm looking to see.
I think you can move him from the open.
He hasn't actually. Okay. Okay, I just assigned him to our room. I'm going to also just give him a quick call to see if he's having any trouble navigating.
Where's your other half, Stan?
I think she's up doing some decorating.
Oh.
And some soup making. Yes.
Oh, that sounds good.
That it does.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
He's here. Hey.
There he is.
We're in your room.
Hey. I see. How's everybody?
Okay, Farouk.
We're
very good.
Good to stand.
Hey, brother. Always. You know that. Yes.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Next best thing to being in a convention.
That's it.
Yeah, you're right. The family gets together by any means necessary.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So Dr. Iman, yes, we as you were routing your way to this room, Sister Harriet has talked about her interest in food. And even though you spent a lot of time sort of speaking to us around the communication and the cultural piece, we also know that you are someone with great expertise in relation to food and mood and the ways in which we need to really be holistic in how we heal and how we live our lives. So what can you say? Do you want to open up with a more specific question, Sister Harriet, or?
Well, it's just general, because I know as we get older, we need more protein. And my question was, how can I get it, other than being carnivore, kind of? How can I make sure that I have the right nutrients? I know he's like, vegetarian, no, what are you kidding? Okay, but I didn't want to push a button, but not go to the extreme. But anyway, just trying to figure that out.
Yeah. There's several plant proteins out there. Soy is probably the most complete plant protein, but I know some people are allergic to soy. And number two,
I can't do
soy is GMOs. Soy may be out. So beans, all your beans, your kidney beans, your black beans, black-eyed peas, just about all your nuts have good protein in them. The walnuts, the almonds, the cashews, and so forth. Another good source of protein people may not realize is moringa. I don't know if you ever heard of moringa or not.
Yes.
But it's
moringa, right. It's a wonderful source.
Moringa Yeah, moringa, yeah, very good source of protein as well. And of course, actually, a lot of foods have various levels of protein. And so you have to really do your research
Okay.
on that because some offer more than others. But yeah, so basically your seeds, your nuts, and your beans are pretty good sources of plant protein.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
You're welcome.
you. Are there any other questions for?
I just wanted to kind of reinforce what's been said, I think, by you, Sister Dr. Jamila and Brother Farouk, about spirit and how we connect to spirit is also so important, and how we invite spirit to be in our lives. So we're not isolated, we're not disconnected. And to whoever you pray to pray, talk.
Right.
Talk to your divine being, and allow that essence to come into you in a way. So I just wanted to again just amplify what's actually been said already in terms of spirit, and how much that is a part of, if not all of our essence.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Brother Stan, because some people get confused between spirit and religion. And I'm saying, and we know that they're not totally separate, and they're connected, but there is a difference between spirituality and religion. Religion is basically the human manifestation or organizing spirit, essentially. So but we need to understand that we can be spiritual and not always be religious. So I'm glad you brought that up, Brother Stan.
Moringa?
Brother Vincent?
Brother
Yes.
Vince. Yeah.
You mentioned, how are you doing? You mentioned moringa. I'm totally unfamiliar with that.
Ah, okay. Well, you can do the research. It's easy to find out. Google in health benefits of moringa, and you will find out a whole list. It's an anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, meaning that it fights cancer. And anti-inflammatory means that it fights pain. Provides you with many sources or a very good source of protein. It may be antibacterial. I'm not sure on that one. But it is an excellent source of protein and antioxidants.
Super. Thank you.
It also helps with blood pressure and cholesterol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can find it in most health food stores, and if you have access to a tropical area, you probably get a health food store. Okay.
So Stan, you said if we have access to a tropical area, then what?
Well, yeah, you can grow it yourself. It's a very easy plant to grow.
Yeah.
But the health food stores have it in tea form. You can get it in pill form, like capsules and so forth and so on.
Is it spelled Maringa?
Oh, moringa. Okay.
Yes. So
M-O.
let me just welcome everyone back. We are back in our main room. We're back in the Mbongi. And I really wish that we had more time in the breakout sessions. You were hearing a little bit of a spillover from Dr. Farouk Iman, who was talking about some of the benefits of moringa. And I'm sure that each and every one of you have some inspiring ideas, some gems, golden nuggets, the wisdom that has come to us from our panelists. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to really summarize some of the highlights from our breakout sessions, but we will be able to share this recording with you and the contact information for all of our panelists so people can follow up as needed. We don't want to end today without lighting our Kinara. And to do so, would Dr. Denise Hines-Zami please come back to the stage, the virtual stage, so that we can close out our Kwanzaa celebration by you'll see myself and Dr. Denise Hines-Zami. I will be lighting as she will be taking us through the Nguzo Saba.
Thank you, Dr. Codrington. I apologize to those. I was doing a meditative visualizing with the people in my breakout room, and I got snapped from it. So, okay. I hope you'll come back. But they were peace. They were peace. That was peace. Let me go into the lighting of the Kinara. Start with the black candle. That's Umoja, for unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and world. It represents oneness. Some say it's all good. I say it's all God. For those arguing back and forth about the right way to self-protect, to vaccinate or don't vaccinate during this unprecedented time of COVID and its variants, realize first that each of us is trying to preserve the wellness and life-sustaining elements of our people. We all have a passion for that, even if we disagree. We have taken different paths to what we believe is right, but we must continue to love each other in the process. You don't have to share your vaccine status, but don't stop sharing and accepting information with love. Don't close your minds. When you're ready to make a decision, that's your informed decision to make. When it comes to making decisions for our children and our elders, think long and hard. Read about both sides of the argument, and then stop reading so that you may meditate and use your intuition if you're in a balanced state. These are decisions that may affect them for the rest of their lives and all of your offspring to come. Think about the unity within our families, our communities, our nation, and our world. There are those who would like to break up that unity. Don't let them. Preserve unity the way you know you'd like it to be. And don't be mad at others who don't make the same decisions. Remember, community equals common unity. Umoja. We light the red candle now. Kujichagulia, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, created for, and spoken for by others. Make an informed decision about whether to get the vaccine or not, using true knowledge, your own will, and not deciding out of fear or threats, and not deciding out of anger or wanting to do what others do so as not to seem out of step, and not deciding because you're being pressured or forced. If you've used all your resources, including God, to make up your mind, then stick to your decision, and the things you need will come to you, maybe in a different form than you've expected, but you'll create what's needed. You're the true master of your destiny. You determine what happens in your life. You are your own life designer. We light the green candle, Ujima, collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our common unity and our community together, and to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems and to solve them together. Working on ourselves individually while contributing to our community so that simultaneously we build our immune systems, eat healthy and fresh, think healthy thoughts, focus on the words and vibrations of healthy people who have your own best interests at heart. Stay safe, educate, and share information with our brothers and sisters. It's their decision to take it or not, but we have a responsibility to see and to work on the collective together. We light the next red candle, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Buy as many products as you can from Black-owned businesses and establishments. If you can't buy a needed item from a Black-owned business, then buy from one that promotes your life and the lives of your people. Remember that apartheid ended after people cooperated in not buying products from certain businesses and brands and countries that supported apartheid or turned a blind eye to the outcries of the people there in South Africa. So you may have to do without certain things for a while. So you may have to research or Google what comes from where. Why increase the lifespan of your enemy instead of your own? When you can, buy toilet paper, disinfectants, face masks, food, clothing, furniture, music, and other items that are produced by your own people. We may not manufacture things like cars or airplanes or boats yet, but if you do travel, why not travel to Africa and places where the majority of the people look more like you? Get to know them, spend your money there. We next light the green candle, NYA, purpose, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Our purpose is to thrive in the face of unmistakable systemic racism, bias, ignorance, and hate. We have done it before, and they have wondered how. We have built our communities before, and they have burnt them down in jealousy. Napoleon bombed the nose of the Sphinx because it showed a likeness of us. It was repaired, and our communities can be repaired if need be, but we cannot afford not to build them in fear of what might happen. In time, others back away in awe of our strength, and our children are watching to see what we do or even try to do, and haters will either be blown away or converted. Our purpose as a people is to bridge East and West, North and South, is to show what resilience really is. We next light the red candle, Kumba, creativity, to do always as much as we can in order to leave our community and our world more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. We are so creative as a people. We naturally improvise and invent and have given our products away for the betterment of the world. We are the true creators of the kinds of people we'd like to have in the world. We are the creators of making something out of nothing. We can even turn COVID into a rap. Wear masks, wash hands, 6 feet apart stands. Arabs mask too, and now so do you. Please sanitize and don't touch your eyes. Wipe surfaces, clean up hers and his. Stay home, let's do. I miss hugging you. Get out, never. Got cabin fever. I'm bored, we dine and get less sunshine, less pep in me, low vitamin D. You learn new ways of spending your days. Step out, look, see, and feel like you're free. Stay home from school, some kids think it's cool. You juggle life like kids, pets, and wife. You work from home, you're often alone. Stay in your room and see folks on Zoom. Top half is dressed, they can't see the rest. You spend more cash and feel the backlash. Free funds, oh heck, that stimulus check. Buy food, drink tea, build immunity. Less exercise, weight gains, no surprise. The more we sit, we feel we're less fit. Don't cough my way, I'll run from the spray. You're hot, you're dry, your temperature's high. You cough, you sneeze. Is this the disease? Is it real, folks, or media hoax? We dread, we fuss, coronavirus. who will get sick from this pandemic. Can't smell, can't taste, get tested with haste. Don't leave the scene, be in quarantine. What's in vaccines? Nothing bad it seems. Make meds, not smiles. The tests need more trials. Vaccine, not me, even if it's free. I don't accept injections just yet. Stay calm, don't flinch. The needle won't pinch. It goes in 1 inch. See now, it's a cinch. But if I do, I'll get 1, then 2, then booster me, and then there'll be 3. For Omicron, more will come along. I hope I'm safe and my mask won't chafe. Don't trust the lie that says you won't die. Please understand the risk now at hand. You never know till side effects show. My friend, she died. No last touch, I cried. COVID-19, why are you so mean? Resiliency is what we must be. To stay alive, together we strive. This is an original poem that I wrote, and I know that you can think of something to create too. There are many other ways of being creative, like creating good health and beauty and things that inspire for your family, your community, and for you. Lastly, we light the candle, the green candle for Imani, faith. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, teachers, leaders, and in the righteousness and victory of our united struggle. We have lost faith in health authorities and government officials in this country and in other countries during these times when conflict and chaos erupts from peaceful protests, contradictions, and cover-ups appear to surround the COVID controversy. Death and dying can be attributed to disease as well as to its intended cures. What do we do? What have we done in the past? We've had faith, Imani. Faith is needed for us to thrive and survive. Believe in our struggle and our oneness. If a few of us survive, then we all survive. Put your faith in those who deserve it. Put your faith in self. Pray and practice that which keeps our faith alive. Faith can be regained and maintained through mindfulness, education, love, communication, creative productivity, the expansion of consciousness, spiritual connection, and the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Never give these up.
Shay.
Ashe, let the people say Ashe.
Ashe.
Woo.
Hey.
Excellent.
Beautiful. Ashe. Oh, Sister Dr. Denise Hines Zami, you have outdid yourself. I just want to say thank you on behalf of our NYABPsi family and the community for your offering of Kuumba, your offering of brilliance, your offering of just how many ways we can integrate the Nguzo Saba into living, surviving, and thriving during this pandemic. So we thank you. The original poetry and rap just was absolutely beautiful and brilliant. I don't know if you saw the chat, but it was blowing up with hearts and fires and snaps. We just want to.
Someone say old school. Dr. Jamila, you are too kind. Everyone, too kind. I want to thank you for the coordination of this program. You've done an outstanding job.
Sure.
Kudos to all of us.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
Ashe.
Ante Sana.
Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Dr. Carpenter.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Well, we know that we are over time, and we we could probably spend another few hours together since we are very much deprived from each other and very much engaged and stimulated by this dialogue. But we want to make sure that we are aware of your time and what it means to really reconnect with your families and the things that you have to do. So before we end, I would just like to do two things. One, some of you may be familiar with the Tamishi La Tutuanana, which is really the farewell statement that was created by the founder of Kwanzaa, Dr. Maulana Karenga. And it's only appropriate that we end our Kwanzaa ceremony and celebration with this statement, because it is a clear and concise way of reminding ourselves of the values and the vision that we must cherish and that we must maintain if we are to continue to reshape reality, even during the pandemic, in our own image and according to the needs and interests of who we are as a community and building on the strength of our ancestors. So strive for discipline, dedication, and achievement in all you do. Dare to struggle. One second.
Dare to win.
Dare to win. People can help me out here. Dare to struggle and sacrifice and gain the strength that comes from this. Build where you are and dare to leave a legacy that will last as long as the sun shines and the water flows. Practice the Nguzo Saba daily. Umoja. Come on with me. Unity. Kujichagulia. Self-determination.
Self-determination.
Ujima. Collective work and responsibility. Ujamaa.
Cooperative
economics.
Cooperative economics.
Nia.
Purpose.
Purpose. Kuumba. Creativity. Imani. Faith. And may the wisdom of our ancestors always walk with us. May this year's end meet us with laughter and meet us stronger.
Excuse me, Dr. Codrington.
Yes.
I just want to be sure that we have a chance to hear from our president.
Yes, we will. We will. I won't. Okay. And that's our fine. That's the second thing that we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
May our children honor us by following our example in love and struggle. And at the end of next year, may we sit together again in larger numbers with greater achievements and closer to liberation and a higher level of human life. And so we raise our right hand and we repeat the Harambe 7 times, which just means let's all pull together in Kiswahili. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Harambe!
Harambe!
Harambe! Harambe! Okay, so that completes our Kwanzaa ceremony. And we are delighted to share as we close out a word from our interim president. I want to introduce him to you. Some of you may have seen the e-blast that went out a few weeks ago through NYABPsi, just announcing that Marcus Dougherty is our New NYABPsi interim president. He is an associate vice president for system innovation and quality at an addiction research and advocacy organization. He is a licensed and credentialed mental health and substance abuse professional with over 30 years of human service experience. As a clinician, he has worked in both outpatient and residential settings with diverse populations, including individuals who have been impacted by homelessness, individuals experiencing co-occurring disorders, and severe and persistent mental health challenges and substance use disorders. Mr. Dougherty maintains a small private practice specializing in addictions, relationships, gender, and multicultural issues. So I would like to invite our current interim president to close us out. and address the community in your first public appearance.
Wow, I thank you for that introduction. And Dr. Connington, I cannot thank you enough for putting on such an excellent dynamic program. I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to our panelists this evening. You know, I almost have no words for your wisdom, for your knowledge, and much respect and much thank you for the knowledge that you imparted with us today. Just to be respectful of time, I just want to close by saying, you know, thank you everyone for participating this evening. Two things I just thought of quickly throughout our program this evening. One was someone that asked, what does it mean to be African? What it means to be African, in my view, is that we all have a sense of connection with our ancestors, and we all stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. And this presentation tonight is just a demonstration of our resiliency as a people, our ability to stand on the shoulders of our ancestors and to continue to strive. So I just, again, just want to thank everyone this evening. I hope that as you have learned this evening, that you will also think about the Association of Black Psychologists. Please be active in our association and our membership, be a part of this great organization, and continue to work within our communities to empower our communities and also to empower ourselves both as a community and also as individuals. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you again. I'm going to say be safe. May you walk in spirit. May you walk with God, however you worship him or her, and that you continue to grow and to strive. And I want to say be safe and be well. Thank you all. And thank you again for participating.
Mandasi.
Ashe.
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 Hello.
Be well, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Jamila. You too.
Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Oh,
Thanks
if you
again.
for all the speakers.
Hey, happy Kwanzaa, everybody.
Happy Kwanzaa and Happy New
Yes.
Year.
Happy
Happy
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa.
Thank you.
Also, if you could state, if you could put up on the chat, if you accept donations.
Quickly, we accept any and all donations, and those are always greatly appreciated.
Okay,
Put
thank
the
you.
link for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
I put the link in the chat. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
On it.
Okay, so with that, we will stop the